After 7 years of friendship and loyalty, my best friend got pregnant by my fiancé while I was in labor with his child. I've been raising my daughter without either of them. Now my best friend is back and begging to be in her niece's life. It's been over a year and I still haven't told the full story, not to my mom, not to my coworkers, not even to my therapist. I always skim the surface. He cheated, or, we don't talk anymore, or, I'm focusing on the baby. But last night, I saw a photo of them together, smiling, her holding my daughter, like she's proud, like she's earned it. And I don't know what snapped in me, but here I am at 3:47 a.m., typing this out with one hand while the other holds the bottle, because my daughter wouldn't stop crying and I couldn't either. I'm so tired of pretending I'm okay, of telling people it's fine, of trying to move on, when they're the ones who detonated my whole damn life and got to walk away like it was just some casual decision. You know what the worst part is? If you had asked me 2 years ago who I trusted most in the world, I would have said her, without hesitation. Not even my fiancé, her. She was my person, my best friend since I was 13. She knew every version of me, awkward me, broke me, in love me, and she stood beside me when I peed on that pregnancy stick and started crying, both terrified and weirdly excited. She rubbed my back when I threw up before work. She organized my baby shower. She massaged my swollen feet and made jokes about how she'd be Auntie Tasha for life, and I believed her. God, I was so stupid. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That picture. It did something to me. I've been quiet long enough. I've kept their secrets long enough. I've been nice long enough. They don't deserve my silence anymore. I don't think people really get it when I say she was like my sister. They think I'm being dramatic. Or maybe I'm just trying to make the betrayal sound worse than it was. But it's not like that. Tasha was family. She knew where the spare key was. She'd come over without asking. Hell, she had a drawer at my place. We grew up together. Same middle school. Same bus route. Same dumb inside jokes from 10th grade we still laughed about in our 20s. She held my hair back when I got alcohol poisoning in college. I covered for her when she snuck out to see that guy her mom hated. She was the first person I called when my dad died. And I still remember the way she held me that night, like I'd completely fall apart if she let go. And yeah, sometimes I still miss her. I hate that. I hate how true it is. I miss texting her after something stupid happened at work. I miss sending her ugly mirror selfies and her roasting my outfit. I miss how she used to look at me when I was overthinking everything and say, "You're not crazy, you're just tired." She knew how to make me feel normal when everything felt like it was slipping. Which is why I didn't see it coming. I couldn't. My brain literally wouldn't let me go there. She was the safest person I knew. Safer than Jordan, even. He was charming, yeah, and I loved him. But Tasha was my constant. You don't look for betrayal in the places you call home. And now, when I think back to all those nights we spent on the couch watching trash TV, her feet in my lap, her stealing bites of my dinner like it was hers too, I don't know. I start wondering which parts were real, if she always wanted what I had, if she ever actually saw me as more than a placeholder for a life she wanted for herself. God, I sound paranoid. But that's what happens when someone rips the ground out from under you and smiles while doing it. You start questioning everything. Sometimes I dream about her, and it's not even a nightmare. We're just us, laughing, doing face masks, sharing a pint of ice cream while I vent about Jordan being distant again. And then I wake up and remember, and it hits me all over again, like grief that forgot it already came. But maybe the worst part isn't that I lost her, it's that she didn't seem to lose me. And then there was him, Jordan. God, I still remember the first night we met. It was one of those random, nothing nights that end up meaning everything. Tasha had dragged me to some networking event she didn't even want to go to. I almost stayed home because I was bloated and in a mood, but she promised free wine. So, there we were, in some overpriced rooftop bar pretending to care about everyone's job titles. And then, he walked in. He wasn't even the hottest guy in the room, not conventionally, anyway. But he had this way of carrying himself, like he didn't have to try, like the room just bent around him a little, and when he looked at me, really looked, it felt like he saw something in me I didn't know was there. He asked what I did, and I mumbled something about admin work and spreadsheets. He didn't flinch, he just nodded and said, "That sounds like something that would make me cry. You must be smart as hell." I remember blushing so hard I had to pretend I needed to check my phone. He made me feel chosen, that's the word, like I wasn't just another face in the crowd, and I'd spent so long being the supportive friend, the background character in everyone else's love story. Jordan looked at me like I was the plot twist, the way he touched the small of my back when we walked through a doorway, The way he ordered my drink the second time we went out without even asking, the way he asked questions and actually listened. It wasn't big romantic gestures, it was consistency, and after years of flings and half-hearted maybes, that felt like everything. I think I fell in love with him before I even admitted I liked him. Tasha liked him too, she said it right away. He's hot, he has a job, and he didn't try to hit on me. 10 out of 10. I remember laughing at that. I didn't even blink, I just trusted her, thought we were both admiring the same thing from different places. Like I got the guy and she got to cheer me on from the sidelines. We used to do that, point out guys at bars, rate them, joke about marrying rich. It was harmless. Or at least, it used to be. But Jordan made me feel safe, for a while, and I really believed that was going to be enough, that love could actually be easy. And maybe that's why it still haunts me, because for a moment, I really believed I'd made it, like everything I'd survived. The heartbreaks, the self-doubt, the anxiety, had led me to this. I thought I was finally home, and maybe that's the part that hurts the most. I let her in, I invited her in. I didn't just tolerate Tasha being around Jordan, I encouraged it. Group dinners. Always the three of us, brunch. We'd pick her up, movie nights. She had a favorite spot on the couch and everything. I used to joke that she was the third wheel we chose, like we were this little trio and no one else could sit with us. She even had a toothbrush at our place, and slippers, and a wine glass she claimed as hers. We let it be a thing. We made it a thing. When she got evicted from her apartment and needed a place to crash, I didn't hesitate. Jordan was quiet about it, but he didn't say no, and I took that as agreement. She moved in for a couple weeks and stayed for nearly 2 months, slept on our couch, used our shower, took our leftovers to work like we were roommates or something, and I let it happen because I loved her, I trusted her, I trusted them. I think about that now and I want to throw up. There were no boundaries, none. I didn't need them, or I didn't think I did. I mean, how do you set boundaries with someone you've known since you were 13? How do you say, hey, maybe don't flirt with my fiancé, when you never imagined she could? And Jordan, he never gave me a reason to worry, not then, not in the beginning. They joked with each other like siblings. She teased him about his haircuts, called him Finance Ken. He rolled his eyes at her bad takes on movies. I thought it was harmless, it felt harmless, and I liked seeing the two of them get along. I wanted them to like each other. God, how stupid is that? I wanted them to like each other. I thought it meant something good, that my world could fit together, that I didn't have to choose between my person and my partner, that I was building something real. I didn't see what was coming, I didn't want to see it, not even when it started to feel off. I still remember how my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The line turned pink so fast I thought it was a mistake. I took 2 more tests just to be sure. Then I sat on the cold bathroom tile and just stared. For maybe 10 minutes, maybe more. My whole body felt like it wasn't mine, like time split in half. Before this moment and after. I wasn't ready, God, I was so not ready, but at the same time, I was, in some weird, primal, terrifying way. I imagined a little heartbeat, a tiny sock, a laugh that sounded like mine and his mixed together. I pressed my hand against my stomach and whispered, "It's okay, I've got you." Jordan didn't say much when I told him. He just kind of sat there, blinking. Like the words weren't landing right. Then he rubbed his jaw the way he always did when he was trying not to freak out, and after what felt like a full minute of silence, he said, "Okay, we'll figure this out. Not I'm happy, not this is amazing, just, we'll figure it out." But he hugged me, he kissed my forehead, he asked if I was okay, and I told myself that was what mattered, that maybe shock looked different on everyone, that he just needed time, that deep down, he was happy, he just wasn't good at showing it yet. And then came Tasha. She screamed, like actual screamed, then cried, real tears, threw her arms around me and started babbling about how this was the best news she'd heard all year. She kept calling me Mama, rubbing my belly even though I wasn't showing. Saying how lucky this baby was already. She said it made her believe in love again, that she felt honored just to witness it, that we, me and Jordan, were her favorite people in the world. I don't know why, but that's the part one keep replaying now, my favorite people in the world. She meant it, I think, I really think she did, and somehow, that made it easier to ignore the weird look Jordan gave her when she said it. Or maybe it wasn't weird, maybe I imagined it, maybe I wanted so badly to believe I was safe, that I swallowed everything that didn't fit the picture I'd already painted. But it was there, that whisper, that low, crawling thing in my gut, and I didn't listen. I don't know when it started exactly, maybe 3 weeks after I told him. He stopped putting his phone down during dinner, started answering calls in the hallway, said work was picking up and he didn't want to fall behind before the baby came, which made sense, it did. I wanted to believe that. I clung to it like a damn safety rope. But then it was more than calls. It was canceled date nights, missed doctor appointments. He stopped kissing me goodnight some nights, and when he did, it felt distracted, like his lips were going through the motion but his mind was somewhere else, somewhere further and further away. I remember sitting on the couch one night with my legs curled under me, scrolling through baby names on Pinterest like some lovesick teenager, and I looked up and realized he hadn't spoken in almost an hour, just typing, laughing at his screen. I asked him what was funny and he said, just a meme. He didn't show me. It was small, but it hurt in a way I didn't know how to say out loud. I laughed too, like it didn't matter, and then I excused myself to pee for the 5th time that hour just so I could cry quietly in the bathroom and blame it on hormones if anyone asked. Tasha kept saying I was being dramatic, that pregnancy made people paranoid, that Jordan loved me. I just couldn't see it right now because my emotions were like 10 drinks deep, 24/7. She'd joke about it. You need a little serotonin shot and some Oreos, not a full relationship breakdown, and she was right. She was. I was sensitive. I'd cry because the Uber driver missed the turn. I yelled at the blender once. I was sleep-deprived and puffy and constantly worrying about the way my body was changing and whether I'd still be desirable, or fun, or anything but this. So when he pulled back, I told myself it was me. I told myself I was too much, too needy, too emotional, too pregnant. I started apologizing for everything, snapping, crying, asking him to stay home more. I started thanking him just for showing up, like the bare minimum felt like a blessing I didn't deserve anymore. Even now, I hate how small I let myself become, but it's what came next that makes me want to scream. And then it was like she moved in without actually moving in. Tasha was just there all the time, every day, every morning, before I even had a chance to brush my teeth. She'd be knocking, arms full of groceries I didn't ask for. Thought you could use some iron-rich foods, she'd say, smiling like she knew something I didn't. And maybe I was just tired or slow or hormonal, but at first it felt sweet, helpful, like, wow, I'm really lucky to have someone like her. She'd rub my swollen feet when Jordan wouldn't even look up from his laptop. She'd make tea and run bubble baths and fold the laundry I left sitting for days. I remember one afternoon I was crying on the couch over some dumb commercial, like, full-blown sobbing over a puppy adoption ad. And she just sat behind me and braided my hair, didn't even say anything, just held me there, like I was this fragile little thing she needed to keep from falling apart. And I clung to it. I did. I didn't want to admit how lonely I was. Jordan was never home. When he was, he barely touched me, said I looked tired, said I slept too much, said I cried too easily. But Tasha never said those things. She'd prop a pillow under my back and tell me I was glowing. She'd say, "You're doing amazing, Mama," like she was the doula I never hired. Sometimes she'd put her hand on my belly and close her eyes, like she was feeling something deep. I'd joke, "Careful, you're gonna make her think you're the mom." And she just smiled, not in a funny way, not in a haha you got me way. It was soft, long, weird, like something passed between us that I didn't understand yet. She started organizing the nursery when I hadn't even picked out the paint color. She started referring to the baby as our little girl, and I laughed it off. I did. God, I wanted to laugh it off, because the alternative meant looking too close at something I didn't want to see, like how she always knew when Jordan was coming home before I did, or how she stopped knocking before walking in, or how she whispered, "You're lucky you have me," one night when I was half asleep on the couch. Lucky, that word sat weird in my mouth, still does, but I just nodded, let her tuck the blanket around me, let her stroke my hair like I was a child, because it was easier than being alone, easier than facing the shift in Jordan's eyes, easier than asking myself why it didn't feel like help anymore, why it felt like being managed. I told myself I was imagining things. That pregnancy makes you paranoid, emotional, oversensitive. That's what they always say. Right? That we get dramatic, that we see things that aren't there. But some things were there, even if I couldn't name them yet. And then came the baby shower. The baby shower was beautiful, like Pinterest perfect, pastel streamers, little tea sandwiches, a custom cake with baby girl's name piped in that soft pink frosting you see in influencer reels. Everyone kept saying how lucky I was to have a best friend like Tasha. She really outdid herself. She loves you so much. She treats this baby like it's hers. And I smiled. I said all the right thank yous. I posed for the pictures, held my belly like a prop, even laughed when the diaper game got too real. But something about the way she gave that speech, it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. Like she was claiming something. Like every sentence that was supposed to be about me circled back to her. She's so strong. But even the strongest needs someone in their corner. I've been there for every step. Every appointment, every craving. She doesn't always ask for help. But I see her. And then Jordan walked in, late, of course, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. He hugged me with one arm, kissed my cheek like we were co-workers, then sat on the armrest beside her instead of next to me. And that's when it happened. That look. I don't even know how to describe it, honestly. It was fast, barely there. But it hit like a punch in my chest. Jordan glanced at her, like checking in, and... Tasha, she smiled, not at me, at him, and it wasn't warm, it wasn't sisterly. It was knowing, like they shared a secret, like this was their moment, and I just wandered into it by accident. And maybe if I hadn't been pregnant, if my hormones weren't running laps around my sanity, maybe I would have said something, maybe I would have screamed. But instead I laughed, swallowed it like a lump in my throat and told myself, "You're being weird, it's nothing. Tasha's your best friend, Jordan's just stressed, you're tired, you're insecure, you're imagining it." And I kept telling myself that all night, as he barely touched me, as she hovered a little too close to him, as I opened gifts and smiled so hard my face hurt. I even thanked her again after everyone left, told her it was perfect, and she hugged me real tight, longer than usual, whispered, "Anything for you." But something in me had already started to shift. Just a hairline crack, nothing visible, nothing loud, just a flicker. And then came the nights he stopped sleeping in our bed. It started with the pillows. He said he needed more space, that I was tossing too much in my sleep, which, yeah, okay, I was huge, my back hurt, my hips were on fire every time I tried to roll over, I was restless, I'd wake up 10 times a night just to pee or cry or both. So when he said he'd crash on the couch to get up full night, I didn't argue. I even apologized. God, I apologized. He kissed my forehead, soft, distracted, and said, "It's just for a little while, babe, you need your space too." I told myself it made sense, that it was temporary, that this was just one of those uncomfortable pregnancy phases no one warns you about. But then the couch turned into the guest room, and the just one night became a week, then 2. And suddenly our bed felt colder than it should have with just one body missing. He'd come in late, after I was already asleep. If I could sleep at all, mumble a half-hearted, "Love you," sometimes not. Even that, and I didn't know how to ask, didn't know how to bring it up without sounding needy or clingy or whatever word men like him file you under when you start noticing things. So I said nothing, held my belly, told her I loved her instead. I played music at night so the silence wouldn't swallow me whole. Searched, 3rd trimester insomnia, like the internet would explain away the ache. And when I cried, I faced the wall so it wouldn't echo, like if I stayed still enough, quiet enough, I could fix it without saying a word. Tasha said he was just overwhelmed, said some men get like that before the baby comes, emotionally shut down, avoidant. "He'll come around," she said, "men panic, you know that," and I nodded like I believed her, but in the dark, with nothing but my daughter's kicks and the hum of the ceiling fan. It felt less like panic, more like distance, like he was already leaving, inch by inch. And I was too scared to ask him why, because deep down, I think I already knew the answer. And then came the night I couldn't breathe. The baby shower was beautiful, like Pinterest board beautiful. Soft pinks and creams everywhere, little paper clouds hanging from the ceiling, gold lettering that said, "It's a girl," across the wall. There was a mimosa bar for the guests, mocktails for me, a donut wall that everyone took pictures in front of. She even had this photo backdrop with fairy lights and a Polaroid station so people could write notes for the baby and clip them up. And for a second, I let myself feel happy. I waddled around, hugged people I hadn't seen in years, let them touch my belly even though I hated that part. I smiled for the pictures, ate cake, let myself forget. Tasha did everything. She booked the venue, made the playlist, even color-coded the thank you gifts. And when people asked me how I managed to pull it off while so pregnant, I just said, I didn't, Tasha did, and I meant it, she really did. She made it perfect. Jordan came halfway through, didn't help set up, didn't help clean up, just showed up in a wrinkled button-down, took a few photos next to me, kissed the side of my head like he was posing for the idea of fatherhood, and then disappeared to take a call for almost an hour. I kept glancing toward the door. He never came back inside until it was almost over. But Tasha was everywhere, making jokes, refilling drinks, taking care of me like I was glass. And then she gave this speech. I didn't know she was going to. She tapped her glass, stood up in the middle of the gift circle, and said she had something to say about the strongest woman she knows. And at first it was sweet, it really was. She talked about our childhood, about all the things we've been through. She told that story about how I used to cry when we played dolls because my baby never had a dad, and she'd give me hers every time. People laughed, I laughed. But then her voice changed. She started saying things like, I've never admired anyone more, and I would do anything for this woman, and there is no one in this world who deserves happiness more than her, and if I have to spend the rest of my life making sure she has it, I will. And everyone clapped, but something in my stomach turned. It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it, eyes glassy, voice too tight, like she wasn't just talking about me, like she was making a promise to someone else in the room. I remember catching Jordan's face in that moment. He wasn't looking at me, he was looking at her, and he smiled, just a little. My whole body went cold. But then someone handed me a diaper cake and pulled me into another photo, and I laughed because I was supposed to. Because that's what you do when everyone's clapping for you and you're surrounded by balloons and buttercream and fake eyelashes. I told myself I was tired, that I was hormonal, that I was overthinking it like always. I said thank you, hugged her, told her I loved her, and I did, I still do, which makes what came next so much worse. It started with this weird cramping in my back, like not even real pain at first, just this deep, low ache that felt like pressure. I thought maybe I slept weird. Or maybe it was gas, or maybe I was just tired from smiling through 1,000 thank you hugs at the baby shower the day before. But then it came again, stronger, lower, deeper, sharper, and then again, and suddenly I was timing them on my phone with my hands shaking and trying not to freak out because it was too early. I was only 35 weeks, she wasn't supposed to come yet, I hadn't even packed my hospital bag. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, Jordan's side, empty, and just whispering, okay, like that would make it stop. I called him first, of course I did. No answer. Tried again. Straight to voicemail. I stared at the wall for maybe 3 seconds before I called Tasha. And she picked up on the first ring, no hesitation, no, what's wrong? Just, I'm on my way. By the time she got to me, I was already bent over the bathroom sink, trying not to cry through the next contraction. She came in like she'd trained for this moment her whole life. Hair up, no makeup, hoodie, keys in hand. She grabbed my shoes, my phone charger, the leftover hospital checklist on the fridge. She packed my hospital bag for me. I just kept apologizing, saying, I should have done this already. I should have, and she cut me off. You're okay, I've got you. She drove us there, ran 2 red lights, held my hand through the triage questions, snapped at a nurse when she asked if my husband was on the way. I said, he's coming. But even in the pain, even in the panic, something inside me knew I was lying. Tasha stayed. She stayed through every breath, every contraction, every check, every pause in between. She held the cup when I threw up. She wiped my face with a towel she warmed up under the bathroom hand dryer. She braided my hair back when it stuck to my neck, and I let her. I didn't question it, didn't pull away, because in that moment, I needed someone, and she was there. She was the only one who was. I kept checking my phone, battery low, no missed calls, no texts. I told myself maybe he was asleep, maybe his phone died, maybe he was already on the way and just stuck in traffic. But that didn't explain why my messages stopped saying, delivered. Still, I couldn't fall apart yet, I couldn't afford to, so I gripped her hand tighter, let her whisper, you're doing amazing, into my ear even when I felt like my body was tearing in half. Let myself believe, for a moment, that maybe this was enough, that maybe if I just focused on the baby, on her, on this one thing I could control, I wouldn't have to feel the rest. Not yet, not until morning. I barely remember pushing. Everything kind of went gray, like my body split off from my brain and just took over. I remember the sound of the monitor, the nurse yelling, one more, sweetheart, you've got this, Tasha's hand gripping mine so tight I couldn't feel my fingers, and then, this wet, raw cry, like an apology and a miracle all in one sound. They laid her on my chest, and I swear to God, I've never felt so much and so little at the same time, like I was floating, but my insides were leaking out, like I was holding everything I'd ever wanted, and still losing something I didn't know how to name. She was so small, red and wrinkled and loud and mine. I think I whispered her name, maybe twice, maybe more. I don't know if anyone heard it over the nurses. Tasha was still next to me. She helped cut the cord because Jordan still wasn't there. He came in 20 minutes later, no flowers, no excuses, just walked in, slow and silent, like he'd taken a wrong turn and ended up in the wrong life. Kissed my forehead like it was a formality, looked down at her, our daughter, and said, "She's beautiful." I nodded, because I didn't have the energy to scream. But then I looked at him, really looked at him, and then at Tasha, who was sitting stiff in the corner, pretending to scroll through her phone like she hadn't just helped bring a whole child into this world. And something in me, I don't know, they weren't looking at me, neither of them, not really. It felt like I was outside my own body, watching three strangers in a hospital room. One of them bleeding, one of them quiet, one of them still catching her breath, and the baby, she just laid there on my chest, soft and warm and perfect, while my whole world turned to ice under the blanket. I should have felt full, I should have felt sacred, I should have felt seen, but all I felt was cold, and like nobody in that room was telling the truth. Not even me. I don't even know what time it was. Everything in that hospital room felt thick, like the air had weight. Like my eyelids were stitched shut with exhaustion and meds and the kind of pain that isn't physical but still hurts. I woke up because I thought I heard her cry, my daughter, but it wasn't her. It was voices, muffled, sharp, and then I realized, they weren't nurses, they were them, Jordan and Tasha. I couldn't make out every word at first, just the tone. The kind you use when you're trying not to wake someone but you really want to say what you're saying, that tense, bite it back kind of whisper. I didn't want to move, I just stayed there, still, listening, and then I heard it. Her name, my name. "She's not stupid, Jordan. Keep your voice down," he hissed. Something in me snapped, not out loud, not with tears, just quiet, like a bone inside me shifted wrong and would never set back the same again. Because that wasn't a normal whisper, that wasn't a "she needs rest" whisper, that was the sound of people hiding something from me, and suddenly every moment, every foot rub, every late-night meal, every unread text, fell on top of me like bricks. My name in her mouth didn't sound like love, it sounded like guilt, like a warning. And I wish I could tell you I got up, I wish I ripped the four out and stormed into that hallway and said, "Tell me now, tell me what the hell you're whispering about." But I didn't. I just laid there, frozen, bleeding and broken and wide awake, trying to pretend I'd imagined it, that I didn't hear what I heard. But you always know when people are talking about you, you always know. And that night, I think I stopped believing they were mine, either of them. Not completely, not out loud, but something inside me. It just stopped hoping. She left her phone on the little tray table by the window, the one with the wilting flowers and that sad get-well balloon tied to a mug of chocolates I didn't eat. She always had it glued to her hand, always. Even when I was mid-contraction and throwing up from the pain, she was texting someone. I remember thinking, damn, she must really be updating the whole group chat or something. But she never showed me the messages, just said, "Don't worry about it, babe, focus on the baby." Anyway, the phone buzzed, soft little vibration like a mosquito in my ear. I wasn't gonna look, I really wasn't. I had my daughter in my arms, I was trying to breathe. My whole body still felt like a crime scene. Stitched up, leaking, broken open. But the message preview popped up, bright white text against a muted background, just 7 words. "You need to tell her, she deserves to know." I froze, like, time didn't just stop, it collapsed on itself, like I wasn't in that hospital room anymore, like I was floating somewhere above myself, just watching this girl, this idiot girl, pretend for the millionth time that she had nothing to worry about. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might puke again. I told myself not to look. I told myself it wasn't my business, even though that was my business, every inch of it, the message, the phone, her, him, them. I should have handed it to her and walked away. I should have focused on my daughter, on the quiet sound of her breathing, the tiny weight of her chest rising and falling on mine. But I didn't. I don't even remember reaching for it. My hand just moved, like it had a mind of its own, like it needed to see what came next. I picked it up, just enough to swipe down, read the rest of the message, then the ones before it, then I tapped. Opened the thread, my thumb was shaking. The contact name was saved as J, just that, one letter. Not Jordan, not babe, or love, or even J, love, or whatever the hell they used to call each other in private, just J, and it went back months. Little things, she's asleep, I can come by. Did you tell her I got you that necklace? Still thinking about that night in Atlanta, I couldn't breathe. I kept scrolling. I hate lying to her. She's not stupid, you know, you need to tell her. She deserves to know, she deserves to know, she deserves. That phrase just kept echoing in my skull like a chant, like they were so proud of how fair they were being behind my back, like cheating behind someone's back becomes more noble if you eventually confess, like I should be grateful for the crumbs of honesty. I dropped the phone. I mean it, literally dropped it. It hit the floor with this soft, pathetic thud, and I still flinched like it was a gunshot. Tasha didn't hear it, she was still out in the hallway, probably trying to calm him down. I could still hear their voices, low, sharp, panicked. My name, again, said like a problem they couldn't solve, and I just sat there, holding this tiny perfect girl in my arms, while the whole floor felt like it was cracking beneath us. She deserved to know. No, I deserved to know. And suddenly, I did. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was, I still wasn't sure what I was gonna do about it. I picked the phone back up. I told myself it was to put it back where I found it. I told myself I didn't need more, that I'd already seen enough. But I tapped the screen again, and then I tapped the messages, and then I scrolled, and scrolled, and scrolled, and I swear, with every swipe, something inside me started collapsing, quietly, like my organs were folding in on themselves, like my ribs were turning to paper. They weren't just sleeping together. It wasn't just physical. It wasn't just a mistake. I saw it all. The way he texted her, the way she texted back, the tone, that disgusting, familiar tone, like they were in their own little world, whispering behind the back of the girl too stupid to see it. Me, I was the girl. There was one message that made my mouth go dry. It was sent at 2:41 a.m. Jordan, I wish it was you having my baby. I read it 5 times before I could even process it. I wish it was you. I wish it was you. I wish, no. My body was still healing from pushing out his child. And this man was texting my best friend wishing she was the one pregnant. Like I wasn't even a real person to him, just a body that got in the way. I kept looking, even though I didn't want to anymore. I felt like I was staring at my own accident, just watching it happen in slow motion, watching them fall in love or lust or whatever they called it, right in the shadow of my life. There were dates, hotels, concert tickets, a voice memo where he said, I miss you. I hate sneaking around but I can't stop thinking about you. Another where she laughed and said, she's still planning the baby shower like nothing's wrong, like I was the joke. Like all the while I was showing her the nursery and asking if the pink was too soft and sending her ultrasound pics. She was sitting there, collecting my secrets, and then running them back to him. I didn't cry. I know that sounds weird, but I didn't. I just sat there, holding my daughter, holding this tiny human who had no idea what kind of chaos she'd been born into. My throat was so tight it felt like it might split open. I think I was in shock. Or maybe I just couldn't let myself break. Not yet. Not with her in my arms. The door creaked open a little, and I jumped. It was her, Tasha. Her eyes were puffy, like she'd been crying. I wonder if she knew what I saw, if she could feel it in the room, the shift. She glanced at the phone, still in my hand. Her mouth opened, like she was about to explain something. I didn't say a word, and maybe that scared her more than if I had screamed, because silence has a way of making guilt echo louder, but I still didn't move. I just sat there, waiting for whatever came next. She didn't say anything. She just backed out of the room, quietly, like a coward, like she hadn't just blown my entire world apart and left me holding the wreckage. And once she was gone, I broke. Not all at once, not some movie scene meltdown. It was slower than that, softer. Like my chest caved in on itself in pieces. I looked down at my daughter, so perfect, so small, and I realized, they never even asked to hold her, not once. Tasha stayed in the room for hours. Jordan popped in and out, acting like he had somewhere better to be. Neither of them looked at her the way I did, like she was a miracle, like she was ours. Because she wasn't ours, to them. She was mine. And somehow, that hurt worse than anything, that she was invisible to them, that she didn't matter, that they could treat me like garbage and still not even pretend to care about her. I don't even remember when the sobbing started. It just did. 1 second I was staring at her little nose, and the next, my whole body was shaking, my stitches burned from the pressure of it. I tried to stay quiet, I did. But it just kept coming out, that kind of cry you can't stop even if someone walked in. The kind that feels like it's clawing its way up from somewhere deep. A nurse came in, blonde. Maybe mid-40s, her name tag said Karen, but she didn't have Karen energy. She was soft. She touched my shoulder and asked if I wanted to call anyone. I shook my head. She said, "Sweetheart, are you sure?" I just whispered, "There's no one to call," and I meant it. My mom would tell me to forgive, my brother would want to burn the whole place down, and Tasha had already left, in more ways than one. I was alone, in a hospital bed, bleeding and broken, holding a baby who deserved so much more than this. I kept thinking, what if she remembers this moment? What if somewhere, deep in her little brain, this feeling sticks? The way some sounds and touches stay with you even when you're too young to name them. What if she grows up and thinks she ruined me? I didn't want that, so I kissed her forehead, I wiped my face, I whispered, "It's not your fault, none of this is your fault, but God." It was hard to believe that, because in the silence of that room, all I could hear was the word replacement, over and over, like maybe I'd only been loved for the idea of what I could give them, and now that I'd given it, they didn't need me anymore. They walked in like nothing happened. Jordan came in first, hugging the baby to his chest, acting like I'd given her to him with a smile on my face. Tasha hovered behind him, flushed, her eyes darting away when they met mine. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the baby from his arms and tell the world what I'd seen, but I didn't. Instead I just sat up, voice shaking, and said, "What's going on?" He sighed, put the baby back in my arms, and said with a soft, practiced tone, "Hey, babe, you're still really out of it. Maybe the meds are messing with your head." Tasha jumped in, smiling sweetly. "Yeah, I just checked with the nurse. Apparently it happens sometimes after delivery. You've been through a lot, you know." Righteous anger shot through me like lightning. I opened my mouth to say why was his phone on her nightstand? Why was his name on her texts? Why were they whispering about me when I was bleeding and in pain? But they were already walking out the door, Jordan patting my arm, Tasha leaning over me, telling me to rest. They gaslit me so gently I almost believed it. "You're just paranoid, this is all so new, just give it time," and I did for a moment. I closed my eyes and tried to believe them. Tears welled up again, but this time they had a bitter taste, like betrayal had found a permanent home inside me. They left with light kisses, pats, and words I didn't want or deserve, and I sat there, gripping the sheets, feeling smaller than I ever had. Shame washed over me for accusing them in the first place, for not trusting, for being broken, and the word hormonal echoed like a hammer. They left me alone again, but this time, I wondered, was I broken? Or was I just finally seeing the truth? And I couldn't tell anymore, but I knew I wasn't done. They wheeled me out together. Tasha pushed the chair, and Jordan carried the car seat, both smiling like we were some twisted little family. The nurse handed me the discharge papers and said something about rest, healing, not lifting anything too heavy. But all I could hear was my own heartbeat in my ears. I didn't say much, just nodded, clutched the baby a little tighter to my chest. My daughter, mine. The car ride home was so quiet, it buzzed, like there was too much static between us. Jordan played something soft on the radio, some acoustic nothing song that just made me want to scream. Tasha sat in the front, scrolling her phone. I was in the back seat with the baby like a goddamn passenger in my own life. I stared out the window and tried to remember how to breathe like a normal person, but I wasn't one anymore. I didn't even recognize the version of me that used to believe in them, that used to laugh with them in this exact car, that used to think love was something safe. I was bleeding, sore, stitched, hollowed out in more ways than one, and I was already planning. I didn't have a job to go back to, no savings in my name, my mom was gone, my best friend wasn't, but I had to get out. I didn't know where I'd go, or how I'd make it work with a newborn who still didn't even have a birth certificate. But I started doing math in my head, how long I could stay without losing my mind, how many cans of formula were in the cabinet, how fast I could heal before I had to fake it and run. Jordan glanced at me in the rearview once, said, "You okay back there?" I said nothing. I was counting, not hours, not days, just exits. The first thing I did was lock the door. I didn't even put my bags down, just walked into the bedroom, turned the lock, and slid the latch over like muscle memory. Like maybe if I closed the door hard enough, it would keep the betrayal out, keep them out. The baby made a soft, hiccupy sound in her car seat, that newborn kind of sigh. Like she was just as tired of this world as I was. I sat on the edge of the bed and fed her in silence. No music, no lullabies, just the sound of her tiny mouth working at the bottle while I stared at the cracked line in the wall paint above the closet. There were voices outside the door at some point, plates clinking, Tasha's laugh, Jordan's voice low and useless. Maybe they were making dinner. Maybe they were pretending I didn't exist already. I didn't care, I didn't feel anything, which was worse. Not anger, not even heartbreak, just nothing, like my body had finally shut the last switch off. I didn't cry. I think I ran out of tears in the hospital. I remember thinking that, holding my baby in that sterile, beige-lit room and just crying until the nurses stopped pretending not to stare, until my throat went raw. Now, there was nothing left. I changed her diaper on a towel because I still hadn't unpacked the baby bag. I used wipes that smelled like lavender and grief. I swaddled her too loose, then too tight, then just gave up and laid her beside me. I watched her sleep, not in that soft, new mom way, in that numb, hollow way, like, if I stopped looking, I might disappear. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, their hands, their smiles, that message. I wish it was you having my baby. I looked at my baby and felt everything and nothing at once. I wasn't mad, I wasn't sad, I wasn't scared. I was just stuck, like my body was here, but my mind hadn't come home from the hospital yet, and outside the door, the world kept moving. They laughed again, a spoon scraped against a bowl, something dropped, a curse, and I didn't even flinch. I just stared at the ceiling and waited for morning. Or maybe I didn't, maybe I'm still waiting. It started with the coffee pot. Tasha left it on. That morning, I heard her heels click down the hallway, door slam, car beep. I waited a full 15 minutes just to be sure. And then I walked into the kitchen and saw the half-full pot sitting there, still hot, still dripping. That was the moment I knew I could do it. Not because of the coffee, but because she'd gotten that comfortable, that careless, like I wasn't a person anymore, just background noise she didn't have to pretend around. Jordan had left 2 days earlier, business trip, right, probably booked it just to avoid looking at me. I didn't care. His toothbrush was gone, his hoodie, the one I used to sleep in when I thought we were happy, gone too. Fine. I moved on autopilot. I didn't even cry this time. I just moved. Diapers, formula, wipes, 2 onesies, the baby bag, my charger, my ID, that was it. I didn't even pack clothes for myself. I didn't want anything from that house on my body. I didn't want to smell her perfume in the closet, or his cologne on the laundry pile. I wore a hoodie I hadn't touched since my second trimester. Still had a stain on the sleeve. Still smelled like sweat and pregnancy and that weird coconut oil I used for stretch marks. She was fussy when I buckled her in. I whispered, "It's okay, baby, we're leaving," over and over like a spell. Like maybe if I said it enough, I'd believe I could actually pull this off. I kept waiting for a tire to pop, for someone to call, for her to forget her phone and come home, for him to show up early and block the driveway. Every red light felt like a threat, every passing car like a test, but no one stopped me. No one even noticed. I don't think I took a full breath until I hit the interstate, and even then, it was shallow, like my lungs didn't trust me yet. I texted my brother when I was 2 exits away. "Can I crash for a few days?" He didn't even ask why. Just sent back, "Always, doors open," and for the first time in weeks, I let myself believe I wasn't crazy, that maybe survival wasn't dramatic, that maybe running was the sanest thing I've done. The baby was asleep when we pulled into his driveway. I sat there in the parked car for a second, hands on the wheel, eyes on my own reflection in the rearview. I didn't recognize her. I still don't. But at least she's moving now. And she's not going back. I barely made it inside before the flood broke loose. My brother didn't say much, didn't ask about the car, the baby, the silence that screamed louder than any words. He just opened the guest room door like it was always waiting for me, like I belonged there. No explanations needed. I sank down on the bed, the baby wrapped against my chest, and suddenly everything I'd been holding in cracked open. Sobs I didn't even know I was carrying spilled out, ragged, raw, shaking the whole room. He sat beside me, quiet, steady, didn't try to fix me or tell me to move on, or get over it, just held my hand. I remember thinking, in that moment, maybe safe didn't have to mean perfect, maybe safe was just being allowed to fall apart without judgment. And yet, even as I cried, a part of me stayed guarded. Like if I let go completely, I'd disappear. I wanted him to hold me forever, but I also wanted to disappear from all of it. I still don't know how long I stayed there, lost between the weight of what was and what could never be. But I knew something had shifted. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was starting to breathe again. But the fight wasn't over. Not by a long shot, because the silence outside that door was still full of voices I wasn't ready to face, and the truth? It was just getting louder, and then the messages started. Not from him, not at first, of course not. He's too proud, whatever, but her? Tasha. The one who held my baby before he did. She waited 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks of silence, no texts, no, are you okay, no, I miss you, just, gone, and then, ping, I just wanted to say I'm sorry, you were like a sister to me, like a sister. I stared at that sentence so long the letters stopped making sense. You were like a sister to me, past tense, like she'd already closed the book and written the obituary. I didn't answer. I didn't even feel rage at first, just, blank. I was sitting on the floor feeding my daughter with one hand, my phone in the other, my heart somewhere under the floorboards. Then the next message came. I never meant to hurt you, I swear. Oh? You swear? Like how you swore you'd never lie to me? Swore you'd always have my back. Swore you'd be her godmother. She actually said that, like, in the delivery room, before I knew, before I heard them, she said, I'll protect her with my life. Protect her from who, Tasha? I still didn't respond, not because I was being mature or strong, I didn't know how. Every time I tried to type something back, I'd start shaking, my thumb hovering over the keyboard, trembling, like my body remembered before my brain did, what she did. What they both did. And then came the third message, like clockwork. You don't understand the full story. That's when something cracked. Because I don't understand, right? I must be confused, hormonal, delusional, sleep-deprived, poor, sad, overreacting new mom with stretch marks and a bleeding heart. Except I read the story, with my own eyes, in her phone, in his phone, the chapter where he said, I wish it was you having my baby, the one where she said, I hate lying to her. But we're so close to being free. Free from what, exactly? Me? And suddenly all that disbelief turned into heat, like my body was on fire but only from the inside, fury so quiet it made me feel sick. I didn't throw my phone, I didn't scream, I just sat there and boiled, my baby asleep on my chest, breathing soft little puffs like none of it touched her. I wanted to type something back, just one word. No, I don't forgive you, no, I don't want your version of events, no. I don't care what pain you were in, no, you don't get to re-enter the story like a redemption arc, but I didn't send it. Because I knew she'd twist it, turn it into more proof that I'm still angry, still bitter, still making it about me, and the worst part? A small, sick part of me wanted her to keep texting, just to see what lie would come next, just to see how far she'd go to rewrite what she did. I didn't block her, not yet. But that was probably a mistake. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way she said, you don't understand the full story, like she was holding some grand explanation that would make everything click into place and I'd go, oh, you had to sleep with him, my bad. But I opened the folder again. Yeah, I saved the screenshots. I told myself it was for evidence, you know, in case I ever needed them legally or whatever, but really? I just couldn't delete them, not yet, not until I could make sense of how the hell it all happened. So I sat on the edge of the bed, baby monitor humming, lights off, just that weird blue glow from my phone, and I scrolled. And this time I didn't scroll like a victim. I read like a woman who needed to know how she got played, like, really played. Because that's what it was, wasn't it? A slow, careful play, not a drunk mistake, not a one-night lapse. It was strategy. It was her knowing exactly what to say to me, exactly how to stay close enough to watch the walls fall. One message from months ago, you should let me plan the baby shower. I know your taste better than he does. At the time I thought it was sweet. I remember even joking, she's basically my wife too, and Jordan laughed a little too hard. Another one. This time from him, don't say that around her, she's already suspicious, already, so that means there was a before. It was all there, in between the I miss yous and the can't wait to see you tonights, little pieces of planning, little breadcrumbs of manipulation dressed up like affection, and I gave her the map, every favor, every secret. Every vent session about how distant Jordan was being, she was cataloging it, stockpiling ammunition I didn't know I was handing her, like, she cried herself to sleep again, I hate lying to her, and he responded, it won't be much longer, I promise, not much longer until what, exactly? Until I bled out alone in that hospital bed while they whispered outside? Until they could finally stop pretending? Until they could take the life I made and convince themselves they earned it? It hit me so slow I almost didn't feel it at first, just this heavy, sinking sensation that I wasn't just betrayed, I was used, weaponized. My softness, my loyalty, my love, she didn't just stab me in the back, She studied my spine first, watched how I stood, learned where it would hurt most, and the part that made my throat close. She never once said she loved him in those texts, not once. It was always about me, what I'd think, how I'd react, how much longer they had to keep me in the dark. This was never about them falling in love. It was about taking me apart, piece by piece, and the sickest part. She thanked me, right before the shower. One of the texts said, "I never would have gotten this far without her. She trusts me too much. I trusted her too much. I trusted her with everything. And she was counting on it." And then I looked at her, sleeping so tiny in that bassinet, breathing with her whole body, little lips parted like she was dreaming something soft, something safe, and all I could think was, she didn't ask for any of this. Not the betrayal, not the mess, not a mother who cries when the laundry piles up or flinches at phone vibrations, not a father who shows up only when it's convenient, not a family tree with rot in the roots. She deserved so much more than me. I picked him, I said yes, I made excuses, I let him stay, I let her stay. And now this little girl has to grow up with that blood in her veins, with questions I won't know how to answer. With birthdays where I'm pretending I'm okay while wondering if he'll even show, with stories of a best friend who vanished right after she was born. How do I tell her that her father didn't just leave? He betrayed her before she even opened her eyes. How do I explain to a child that I let someone like that get this close? Because I did see signs, I did, I just didn't want them to mean what they meant. The nights he stayed late and wouldn't touch me when he got home, the way she always picked his side when we'd argue, the fact that she knew my passcode, that he knew hers, that I walked in once and they were sitting a little too close on the couch and I told myself it was in my head. I was building a family with blinders on, and now she's stuck with the fallout, and I know people say kids are resilient. That they just need love and they'll be okay, but what if I can't protect her from me? From the guilt that clings to every bottle I make, every lullaby I sing, every time she looks up at me with those big eyes and I think, you deserve better than a mother who let herself get fooled. You deserve better than a mother who didn't see the storm coming. You deserve better than this version of me. And maybe that's the part one hate most. Not them, not even what they did. But that now, forever, part of me will look at her and wonder if she's paying the price for my mistakes. Then she said it. I just want to see her. She's family too. That word, family. It hit me like a bruise I forgot was still healing, like she could just say that, slide back into our lives with a word she stomped all over. And the worst part? A tiny part of me wanted to let her. I was so tired of carrying all this hate around, tired of being the only one losing sleep, replaying everything, holding the weight of their choices like I was the one who made them. I wanted peace, not for them, for me. For the first time in months, I imagined what it would feel like to not be angry. To not feel sick when my phone lights up, to laugh with her again, even just once, to have someone who knew my baby from the beginning, who saw her heartbeat on that first blurry scan and bought her that stupid little, worth the wait, onesie off Etsy, to not feel so alone in this. I imagined handing her the baby, watching her eyes well up, telling myself maybe that meant she did care, even if she messed up, telling myself that forgiveness might fix something, might fix me. But then I remembered. The night she called me from the hospital cafeteria, while I was in labor upstairs, the way her voice shook when she said she was just getting a snack, and how I believed her. I remembered the way my baby kicked the hardest the night I found out, like she was trying to warn me, like her tiny body already knew. And maybe that's the problem. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't rewind time or unbreak the things they cracked open. It just asks me to carry it differently, and I don't know if I'm strong enough to hold it and still be a mother and still be me. But God, sometimes I wish I could. Sometimes I wish it didn't feel easier to imagine letting her back in than to keep hating her alone. Sometimes I think maybe that makes me just as weak as they thought I was. And that scares me more than anything. So I typed it out, and deleted it, typed it again, deleted it again. My fingers were shaking so hard I had to set the phone down on the nightstand and just breathe. My daughter was asleep in the bassinet next to me, her little chest rising and falling like nothing in the world could ever touch her. I used to think boundaries were mean, or dramatic, or something people did when they wanted attention. But now I know, they're survival. Because if I let her in, even just a little, what would stop it from spiraling again? One visit becomes two, a picture turns into a FaceTime, then a birthday, then another lie I won't see coming until it's already here. So I picked up my phone, and this time, I didn't write a paragraph, I didn't explain, I didn't try to be the bigger person, I didn't soften it, I just wrote, "You're not safe for us," and hit send. that was it, no, sorry, no, hope you understand, no, maybe in the future, just that, and I think it broke something loose in me I didn't know was still stuck, because right after, I started crying, but it wasn't the usual kind, not the guilt sobs or the rage ones or the what did I do to deserve. This spiral, it was quiet and full, and weirdly calm, like I finally chose me, like, for once, I didn't hand my piece away just to keep someone else comfortable, and yeah, maybe I still check if she's read it, maybe I still feel sick thinking she'll respond with some twisted version of love, maybe I still dream that I forgave her and woke up feeling whole again, but I didn't, and I don't, and the silence that followed was the first time I felt like I could hear myself think. It started with a text from my cousin, just a screenshot, Tasha's post, no names, of course, just vague enough to keep plausible deniability, just sharp enough to stab. Some people don't believe in forgiveness, even when you've apologized, even when it was one mistake. I guess grief makes people cruel. Cruel? I had to reread it like 5 times because I thought maybe I was seeing things, maybe the sleep deprivation was messing with my comprehension, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'd actually gone crazy and forgotten a whole chunk of reality where I was the one who destroyed someone's life and then painted myself the victim. But nope, she really did it. She turned herself into the wounded party, and suddenly I'm the monster. And then the DMs started, not from strangers, from mutuals, people we both knew, people who, apparently, never liked me that much to begin with. I don't know what happened, but she's really hurting. She said you won't even let her meet the baby? You guys were like sisters, right? That kind of bond doesn't just disappear overnight, no, it doesn't, but it shatters when your best friend puts her hands on your newborn before you even get to hold her. And while I was still trying to process that, Jordan, he had the audacity to send a legal notice through some app, not even through a lawyer, just one of those paper document things, like you're ordering pizza, except this time the delivery is a visitation threat. If you continue to withhold my parental rights, I'll be pursuing legal action. I stared at the screen so long I didn't even notice I was bleeding. My fingernails had dug into my palm. I wanted to scream, I wanted to go full scorched earth, I wanted to post the screenshots, the timelines, the hospital records, the voice memos, everything. But I didn't, because now I'm the one being watched. Now I have to be the calm one, the stable one, the good mother who doesn't lash out or escalate or give anyone an excuse to say maybe she's unfit. And let me be clear, I am not unfit. I am exhausted, I am hurting. I am a single mom who had her entire world ripped out from under her by the 2 people she trusted most. But I am not unfit, and if they think they can gaslight me into doubting that, into folding, they don't know me anymore. Or maybe they never did. It came from a burner account, no name, no profile pic, just a single message at 3:14 a.m., right as I was finally starting to drift off from maybe the first real sleep I've had in days. She was pregnant too, she lost it, that's why she wants your daughter. I stared at it for so long I forgot how to blink. I don't know why this felt different, more real, more final. I should have brushed it off. Should have blocked, deleted, gone back to bed, but something in my chest shifted, like a door cracked open that I didn't even know existed, and suddenly, all of it, every weird stare, every soft voice Tasha used when she said the baby's name. Every time she said, I just want to hold her, just once, it all clicked in a way that made my skin go cold. She lost a baby, and she didn't tell me. She let me cry to her, bleed to her, she watched me break while she was, what? Planning to replace hers with mine? And then the moment she saw a way in, when she saw my world falling apart, when I was too weak to fight back, she stepped in, she picked her. She didn't steal my man. She didn't just steal my child's father. She tried to steal my daughter. I feel sick saying that out loud, like, I can't even breathe right now, my chest is tight, my ears are ringing. Was that the plan? From the hospital? Is that why she was the first to hold her? Was it on purpose? Oh my God, was it all on purpose? And now I can't stop going back through everything, every text, every time she insisted on coming over, every time she brushed past me to go to the bassinet first, that weird time she said, you must be so tired, I could take her for the night if you want. That wasn't kindness, that was hunger. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? There's still a piece of me that feels bad for her. There's still a piece of me that wants to reach out and say, I'm sorry for your loss, like I owe her anything, like I'm the villain in her story now. I blocked them both, just like that, no warning, no, we need to talk, no calls returned, no messages read. I deleted everything. Texts, pictures, screenshots, voicemails, like erasing their existence would make the pain a little quieter, even if just for a second, and then I shut it all down. Social media, my phone, every group chat where their names popped up like bad memories flashing on repeat. I moved, didn't tell them where, didn't leave a forwarding address, didn't say goodbye, because there was nothing left to say, nothing that could fix this mess or make it okay. I didn't want their apologies, I didn't want their explanations or their fake remorse. I wanted peace, but the silence. It's deafening. It's not relief, not yet. It's the weight of everything I lost, pressed down on my chest, reminding me I'm not done yet. There's still a hole where trust used to be, and even though I shut the door, part of me wonders if it'll ever really close, or if I'm just waiting for it to swing back open again. Because healing, that's not a clean cut. It's messy, it's slow, and it's definitely not over. It's quiet now, like, really quiet. I work from home these days, juggling my laptop and diapers, deadlines and naps. My daughter's laugh echoes through this tiny apartment, bouncing off the walls like little bursts of light in the dark. It's not perfect, it's messy, and some days I'm still figuring out how to be a mom without her father or my best friend in the picture, but it's ours. There's a kind of peace in that. Not the kind where everything's fixed, but the kind where you learn to hold the cracks and keep going anyway. Sometimes I catch myself watching her sleep, and I wonder how she'll remember all this. Will she see the broken pieces or the strength that put them back together? Because honestly, I don't know if I'm fully healed, not yet, but I'm trying, and that has to be enough, for now, because this story, it's still unfolding. I don't want revenge, I don't want pity, honestly, I just needed to say it out loud, all of this, the ugly and the raw and the quiet moments nobody sees. Because here's the thing nobody tells you, no one ever believes the villain when they smile in your face. Tasha smiled like she was your sister, like she was your best friend. Jordan acted like he was the man you could count on. But behind those smiles, there was a whole other story. And now? Now I'm the one telling it, not to hurt anyone, not to make them suffer like I did, but because the truth, messy, painful, complicated, deserves to be heard, even if it doesn't come with a neat ending, even if I'm still figuring out what comes next, because maybe the quietest power comes from just owning your story, and this one's still unfolding. It's not over yet.